Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight for the final edition of CART Conversations for 2024. It has been a long year, but it is half over for the Rotary year, not the full Rotary year. So it's the end of our calendar year, and we have a lot of exciting things that are going on with the CART Fund, and we appreciate you taking your time, as always, to be here tonight to learn a little bit more about our organization, to provide some input, and hopefully to continue to just promote our mission. So our first thing on the agenda tonight is our public image tip of the month. We have 5 tips on public image that I want to share. And as I share each one, then I want you to help me come up with examples of each one of these. Okay. So the first one is to be consistent and professional. And I'll give you an example: to wear your volunteer badge or your CART attire if you are out making a presentation, or if you're visiting a club, or if you're at an event. And as you all know, we have a lot of CART attire available for purchase from our website with a vendor. And coming in January, we will have a whole new website coming soon, and we're going to have multiple vendors that are providing that. So stay tuned for a lot of other materials that are be coming in. And if you are a district chair, you should have gotten a name badge from me in the mail. And so hopefully I hope you're wearing those when you go out as well. So I'm going to say, to be consistent and professional, wear your badge or your attire proudly, and just make sure that your tone and your actions align with the values of both Rotary and CART. So I'm going to ask you to give me some other examples of ways that we can all be consistent and we can be professional. Who wants to add to that? Just unmute yourself and jump right in.
I know that I haven't done a lot of presentations yet, but the ones that I do, I actually show up in a suit. Now it's one of those 21st century suits that I don't have a tie, but my suit is actually very close to the CART blue color anyway. So that with my name badge, which you so kindly provided, really does lend a little bit of, not gravity, but certainly some importance to what they're going to hear. And just let me say, I don't know what the other 4 tips are going to be, but when you have the calls with the previous CART award or grant winners, where they go into some of their details, I've shared a couple of the details, and obviously I'm not a doctor, but the people that I've spoken to really pay attention to some of the details, and they're very, very enthusiastic to learn what a little bit of money from each people. They go into an enormous amount of good gone by the grants that are given to CART recipients. So being able to outline some of those has really been very positive.
That's great. Thank you. That's actually tip number 2, is to stay informed. So that's perfect. We'll come right back to it. I want to see if you guys, Tom, you unmuted. Do you have something to add to be professional and be consistent?
Last year I did 36 presentations. So I was consistent in how I presented that, and always started off with talking about CART's relationship with Rotary, special relationship we have, and how many clubs nationwide and internationally are supporting CART. So I always deliver that first in my meeting, and then at the end of the presentation, I always ask for any questions, and that's when it gets interesting.
I'm just a visitor tonight, but
Yes,
you know,
Karolyn,
always
thank
in
you.
business, besides your name tag and wearing your volunteer badge, business, we always learn the ABC, always business card. You'll always have your contact information. Either, you know, they have the apps now where you can share the phone, but just, was that something you were kind of maybe looking for? You know,
That's a
always
great
have your
example.
contact.
Thank you. That's a great example. I will also add that when you're to be consistent and professional, if you will use the PowerPoint presentation that we have provided for you and then customize it as your own, that will be a great way that we make sure that everybody around the country is getting the exact same message about who we are and what we do. And the other thing I will add is to use the graphics that we're providing. That if you're downloading something from a Google search, chances are you're using an old logo, or perhaps even some old statistics. I spoke with some folks this week who were using not only old logos, but their statistics were old. You know, they said, oh, it was 2012 and we've given away 40 grants or whatever, or 2020 or whatever it was. It was an older number. So the best way to make sure that you're being consistent with our information is to use the graphics that we provide either on the website or on our social media, and to use the PowerPoint that we're providing for you. So I will add that. And one final suggestion on that is to remember, and when we talk about being professional, that we are a guest of a district and we are not there to compete with the Rotary Foundation or Polio Plus. We are simply one of many opportunities that people have to donate to other organizations that they are passionate about. It just so happens that we are run by Rotarians, as opposed to some of the more local organizations that you might volunteer with or have support for from your club. So those are the things I wanted to add for be consistent and be professional. So number 2, as Greg indicated, is to stay informed. And so that means familiarizing yourself with key facts and goals about CART, about Rotary, so that you can, as Tom said, confidently answer questions, so that you can engage with people when you're making a presentation. And Greg gave the best example of all, and that is to attend the monthly Lunch a la Carte meetings, because that is a wealth of information and a great way to learn what's going on in the CART world. So what other opportunities are there for you to stay informed? Who wants to come up with some ideas or share? Not everybody at once. Greg, yes.
I don't mind saying that a call like this, where we're getting experiences from people all around the country, I value this very greatly. So it's terrific to have everybody come and join us. Looking forward to a lot of different enthusiastic advice.
Great. That's right. Attending CART Conversations on the third Thursday of the month from 5:30 to 6:30. That's a great way. Tom, what else you want to add?
Well, over the last several years, I've had interviews with the local newspaper explaining the CART. And of course, in this area, I've got 17 of the coin boxes out at local merchants. So I'm giving credit to those merchants for collecting funds for CART. And they usually do a very nice interview. And I think my next one is scheduled for January. So that spreads it to the general community. And as a matter of fact, at the American Legion Post and the Knights of Columbus Post, where I'm a member of both, they have a CART bucket there. And we raised in November $244 at the Legion Post and $100 at the Knights of Columbus.
Wonderful. And that's going to be topic number 3. So we're going to come back to that one as well. You guys are really good at this. That's great. Kevin, did you have something to add also?
I just wanted to say that I'm here in a different capacity than most of the folks, but for me, it's understanding which clubs in your district are participating and which clubs are not. I made that a part of every official club visit. The relative status of CART contributions, and clubs knew whether or not they were participating or not. And on several occasions, there were looks of kind of disbelief that there hadn't been any contributions made, at least at that point in the year, to CART. So it becomes a topic of conversation when you bring it up in clubs that have not participated. They want to know why is it they don't have contributions reflected. Sometimes they're just sitting on it like they usually do, but other times it's because they honestly don't really know about CART. So especially some of the smaller clubs. So I think just bringing it up during club visits and understanding what's going on in your district is important from a DG perspective.
That's great. Thank you for adding that. Glenda, you have something to add also?
Yes, I was going to say attending the annual meeting and getting to know, like, all of you, it gives validity when I can say, like last week, I suddenly had to talk to my club, spur of the moment, absolutely. But when you can say, oh, I have talked to these researchers, or I know the people who run this program, I know them personally, if people ask questions about it. And so I think that's a real way to just stay informed about that. So attend the annual meetings.
Absolutely. That was on my list. Thank you for saying that. Also, I will add to subscribe to the e-news. That's a great way to stay informed. And as you recall, you have to opt into that. I can't automatically add someone. So you could encourage your other clubs and your other members to do that as well. And that means just going to the website and signing up to receive the e-news. Milton, did you have something to add also?
Well, I'm the newbie.
That's okay.
And one of the things being in education for 40 plus years that I have found out is you're going to find people ask a question and you don't know the answer to. And instead of, I always tell my students, if I don't know the answer, I will find it for you. So, saying I don't know doesn't mean you don't care. It just means I'll find the answer. But the thing that you have to remember is if they ask you a question, please get back to them because that's the most important part.
That's an excellent point. Thank you, Milton. That is very true. There's no way any of us can know all the answers, but if we promise to find someone who knows the answer to that question, we can always find someone who does. Excellent. Okay, so we're doing our top 5 tips. And number 1 was be consistent and professional. Number 2 was stay informed. Number 3 is be mindful of social media and traditional media. And Tom mentioned that he has been doing some interviews with newspapers. I do those on a regular basis. We also can help you if you have a local radio station that is a lot of small towns have local stations that are looking for material, and we have public service announcements, we have press releases and things that we can share with you when you're ready for those. But when it comes to social media, if you're posting about your volunteer experiences, just keep it positive, keep it respectful, and focus on how others can still get involved and how others can make a difference, and also celebrating those people who have been helping us, whether it was making a donation or volunteering and those kinds of things. So what else would you guys add to that for traditional media or social media that you think would be other ways that you can improve public image?
Hey, Tiffany, one thing that I'm sorry, but one other thing that I would say is uh, if you have permission from people who are having personal experiences, uh, personal stories really tell a powerful they send a powerful message about the relevance of Alzheimer's and the prevalence of dementia in general. We have the sponsor for Jenny and me is currently in a memory care unit, and I got to visit him last Saturday. And I talked to his wife, and she said, by all means, share that story. So I did. It's a way to encourage visitors, first of all, but also just to make people aware that this is something that's very personal.
You guys are so good. That's going to be number 4. This is awesome. You guys have done such a great job. So I'll just add one more thing to the media comment, and that is to share the post on your personal page that the CART Fund does. And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So if you have accounts, personal accounts, please share our posts. And if your district or your club has accounts, remind them that we are constantly posting and encourage them to share if they're looking for material as well. And then we'll move to number 4, which I'm so glad that Kevin brought that up, and it is to be inclusive and make everyone feel welcome and valued, regardless of their background or level of understanding about our cause. And that means listening to stories, listening to people who just want to talk about their experience, because quite honestly, it is important to people to be heard. But it is also really important for us to know those stories so that we have real stories to share. Not everyone has the exact same experience with this disease. For some of us, it would be a parent. For some of us, it may have been a coworker. For some, it may have been a grandparent. For some, it may be a spouse or a partner. And we all have different stories. And the best part of me traveling and speaking is listening to people's stories, because oftentimes they just want someone who can empathize with it. And maybe the people in their club or their family are just tired of hearing it. Or perhaps they have never talked about it before, but they feel like they can with us. And so I think that listening to those stories and then asking, as Kevin said, for permission to share is really, really important. So being inclusive and listening to people and including everyone, that I think that's a really good tip. Does anybody have anything to add to that about inclusivity or sharing those stories. But number 5 is that you are the face of our organization. When you walk into a club or a district event or a meeting with someone in the community, whether like Tom does with other organizations, not just Rotary clubs, you are the face of our mission. You are the face of our organization. So having a warm smile and being approachable, it's not just about appearance, but it's listening, as we talked about, and really reflecting the heart of our work. If you are being abrasive and harsh and pushing clubs to donate, that will do so much more damage than good. And we have had so many volunteers that have done that. They have been well-meaning and they have wanted to, to really push our organization. But there are people out there that just don't understand how to make an ask for fundraising, and this is not their forte, no matter how passionate they are about it. So I encourage you to think about that. Treat every interaction as an opportunity to inspire and leave a lasting positive impression, not only on what they think of you, but what they think of our organization as well. And I think that's really important when it comes to public image, is how people perceive us. And they only know us by the person that they meet and they hear from. And whether it's me or you or any other volunteer in our organization, that's the one first impression they get, or sometimes the only impression. So anything to add to that about being the face of our organization? So I hope those were helpful. Our public image tips of the month. And our next thing on the agenda is actually another regular segment that we do, which is a fundraising idea of the month. And this month I invited a very good friend of mine, Karolyn Killian. She is the immediate past president of the Rotary Club of Hendersonville in North Carolina, in my district, 7670. And her club has come up with this great idea for a fundraiser. They do it every month and they rotate a different charity every month. And so it sounds like a lot of work, but what you're going to hear is that it's also a lot of fun. And so I asked Karolyn to join us tonight and tell us a little bit about the fundraiser that her club has been doing, why they chose it, how they make it work, how successful it's been. So Karolyn, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany. Thank you for asking me. I'm kind of honored to be here because, when you have a great idea, it's usually not your idea. Generally, it's somebody else's idea. And that's exactly what happened. And I got it from another Rotarian. And Tiffany, you will appreciate this, being the district conference chair for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 million years, however long it's been. It happened at the district conference, because a lot of times you sit with your own people, and there wasn't room at my table with my own club. So I sat with another club, Highlands Cashiers, and just being the curious person I am, just asking 5 minutes, well, what do you do? Well, they have like 12, I don't know, they raise a bunch of money. I was like, well, how do you do that? And they told me the different things they did, and one was bingo. And I said, bingo, that sounds really fun. How do you do that? So we entered into a conversation at the Rotary District Conference. And then immediately after that, they said, well, we have one, same thing, once a month, and you can come. And I said, well, wonderful. So my husband and I went up to Highlands Cashiers, a couple of hours away, the very next, whenever it was, and played and saw the model. I was like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. Because in our club, we, fundraising is good. We have general fundraisers. We have projects that we give to, but over the years, our club has diminished in size, gone from like 200. We now have 100, 200 people. And so a lot of the funds that we would want to give have not really been allocated to maybe some other nonprofits in the community and building that community. We've kept our core things that the scholarships, the teacher grants, the different things that we give to. And I said, well, this would be an extra income to give to charities. And then that's what we're going to do. We're going to choose a charity month, and we just give the bingo funds to that charity. So there's nothing that we keep. It's just funneled. We promote, we try to promote the partnership and make the partnership happen. And so that is kind of how that started. It was another Rotary Club, and it was just wonderful. And they were so gracious to show us. And I tell you, there's a lot of paperwork that goes along with it, right? A lot of paperwork. And sorry, my kitty's up here. Okay, kitty. Okay, kitty. And so we had to get a light. We had to get, it wasn't just like we were having a bingo game, right? We had to get, we had to get a license from the state, from the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearm. They're the ones who kind of oversee gambling so there were a lot of rules, a lot of big packet, a lot of rules and regulations, a lot of forms we had to fill out. And so then once we did that, we had to find a place. We had part of the criteria was to get a contract that we could lease the place for $0. We're not paying the place, but that we have a 12-month contract. And then we have to renew our license every year. So we have to show our bank statements. We have to show where the money's going. We have to show, that we're not making it for profit, or, we are a nonprofit. And so we had to show all those licenses, all of that. It's a lot of paperwork. So anywhere we generate, so we give out cash, we give out $500, our prize money that night is $500. And so we do 15 games. And so it kind of goes up. The first game's $10, $20, and the prize is 30, 40, 50. Then it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then it's 10, 20, 30, 40, and then 100. And we have a little, bingo key map that shows the different kinds of bingo. So the $10 prize, that's just straight bingo, just like everybody knows, up and down, horizontal, cross. Until the last one, the $100 jackpot prize, that last one is a blackout. So, nobody's breathing during that time. It's crazy. Everybody's wanting to win that money. Now, we promote it so during the session, during the breaks and that sometimes people will just donate their money. They said, I'm not going to take the prize money, we'll just donate it back to the charity. And that's what happened this last time. Over like 6 people donated their prize money. Nobody ever has donated the $100 back, but they'll do the 10, the 20. Because we do have to write a check, because we have to show that we're giving that money to a person. So we can't just give them $10 cash. So it's a lot. I'm just kind of letting you know it's some paperwork to it. So we write a check and then we balance. All that goes at the end of the year for the audit for the Alcohol, Fire, and Tobacco, or their board their committee or whatever. They review it and audit us and all of that stuff. So this is really only our second. I mean, I guess we've done it maybe 18 months, 15 months, because I started it in my year. We're going into our second year. And so we gave $850 to Project Dignity this last past week. And like I said, we've it's twofold. We're raising money for the charity, but we're also out in the community. And so we have actually gotten a few members because of this effort, that are curious, because we're all wearing Rotary apron or whatever, poor people kind of volunteer for those. We have the bingo games, that we hold up, and then and so we go around, it's like a party, it's like a fellowship, it's like a party almost, and a lot of fun. And it is at a brewery that we do it at the brewery. They love it. It's a Tuesday night. It's every third Tuesday. We promote it that way. So it's starting to really catch on, and we have a following. We have a following of people that not necessarily want to be Rotarians, but love what we do. And they come every time and there's a core group that's been there every time from the beginning. And one of them made cookies this last time and brought cookies to the whole thing. It was crazy. So anyway, 15 games, $15 for, and you can buy as many cards as you want. And then on the fourth game, the ninth game, and then the next to the last game, we sell extra cards for $1. So we're able to gather some, so you can have you can buy 5 extra cards for that jackpot, that jackpot round. And it's just for that game, and then we collect them back up. So we have people, Rotarians constantly moving through the crowd, doing. So I've talked a lot, and now, I'd like to open it up for questions.
I think that there's a lot of keys. I hope you guys just unmute if you have questions for her. I hope that you caught on that they're able to support a lot of different charities in their community. And B, they are doing it with not just Rotarians, but community members as well, which is another positive. And C, they're having some social and fellowship of their own members. And I think that is a win-win-win. And they did pick CART one month, and they raised a lot of money for us.
But it's a chore to get it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but it's worth it. And the Highlands Cashiers group, the ones that, shared the idea with us and just were so giving. And now it's my turn to give because they gave so graciously to us. So I'm happy to do it. They do it a little differently too. They have, they do it at the community center because that's the only place large enough to have it there. So there's not really alcohol and all that business, and that's fine because really that's not, I don't think people come to play bingo and maybe have a beer, and there's always a food truck at ours. Then they also had like an overall sponsor for the night, and we've had that a couple of times. So there's a lot of different ways, and we're just getting sometimes it's just best to start slow and grow, I think. And so they've been established for quite a while doing it. And so they really, it's huge. They probably have 110 people there all the time. So every bingo game, we need about 12. We ask for about 12 volunteers. We have the people that are the callers, and we use an app, by the way, but we have the callers. So we have 3 sets of games, 1 through 5. And so 3 callers. And then we have runners that go around and sell the extra cards, make sure everybody's, bus take, whatever, interact. Then we have the cash table, and then the people that also get the prize money. So I'm pretty much I'm the one that writes the checks for the prize money because it's just, I started it. So, so we have about 12 people that we always want there. And then, like Tiffany said, we always have the ones, if they're not volunteering and they love the game, I would say about 25 to 30% of our club enjoy it every time. And it's different,
Are you accepting anything other than cash?
We do. We have a credit card machine. Okay. We do. Which is different from Highlands. They just take in cash, but we found that because we were in a brewery and we were just getting established, we needed the credit card machine. Okay. And I will tell you this too. So I need to tell you about the app, but also it's a separate account, totally separate bank account. Nothing, it's not the club account. We also have a charitable, organization in our club. It doesn't go to any of those funds. It goes into its separate bingo account. And that's the rules and regulations of the governing, alcohol, tobacco, ATF. But the app, we use it, it's very cool because we don't use a big ball, and I'm glad we don't because that'd be a lot to haul. So it's very easy to set up and take down. Basically, we ordered the bingo cards from Amazon. They're just the little slide card. You slide over. I don't have one. I'm sorry. I wish I did. But you can see them. Just look at bingo cards on Amazon. There's a ton of them. They're cardboard. They're about this big. And slide the numbers on. So you don't have all these extra little things or daubers or any of that. And then the app, there's one for iPhone, there's one for Android, there's several of them. And it just, every 20 seconds or so, it pulls up a number, just a random number. And so it's very low. We have a cash box, we have the credit card machine, we have the big tub of bingo cards, we have our aprons, Rotary aprons that we wear, and that's it. That's all we're setting up and taking down. It's very low maintenance as far as fundraisers go, except for the paperwork and the auditing and all that you have to report. But yeah, so it's very cool that way. So
I appreciate it. That's a great presentation.
oh, thank you. Thanks. I hope so.
I took copious notes.
Well, I'll get the information to you because, hey, freely we receive, freely we're going to give it, because Highlands cashiers, they were so gracious. I can't say enough about it. And then just the networking at the district, all the conferences really, and just being booted off my table and having to sit with another club. And there you go. There, it all came because of that. So
that's a good remembrance for all of us too. Anybody else have questions for Karolyn? It really is a great fundraiser, and I don't know if anybody, including Karolyn, had the idea when she first started that it would go on as long as it has and become as hugely successful. I mean, I think everybody thought, oh, this is going to be fun. We'll do this for a while and see what happens. And it is very well talked about. And I think the other key is inviting area clubs. We don't do as good a job as we should in our neighboring club of reminding our members like we should. But that is an important piece of it too, because it's a great way of fellowship. But I want to make sure that you have a couple of important announcements and that you have some important dates on your calendar for next time, for the next upcoming year as well. So we just wrapped up the application process where researchers all over the country submitted their letters of intent that they would like to apply for a CART grant in 2025 cycle. And in years past, we've had anywhere from 30 to 45 applicants for those grants. And as you may recall, last year we gave away a record amount of money, $1.4 million in 1 year. And we were very excited about that. And this year, the executive committee made the decision to increase the amount of the top award for next year to up to $500,000, and that will be the largest gift we have ever given. And I think that must have attracted a lot more applications because we had a record number of applicants. They were coming in at midnight, the night of the deadline, and we had a total of 92 letters of intent that came in this year, which is more than double what we have ever had in the past. So it is a huge undertaking by our scientific review panel. And we've given them a little extra time to review them. They will be culling those and narrowing them down to a smaller group that they will then ask for full applications. And then they will review all of those as well. And then sometime in late spring, early before summer begins, we'll make the announcement of who the recipients will be. And then they will be invited to our 2025 annual meeting. And so if you don't have that date on your calendar, as a reminder of that, that is Friday, June the 13th in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it will be on Zoom as well for those who cannot be with us in person. And we are looking forward to having some of our researchers there that day, but we will not be announcing the recipients as early as March or probably even early April this year because of the large number of people who have applied.
Being that it's a little later this year for the annual meeting, what are we going to establish for a cutoff date for counting the contributions?
We don't have a cutoff date for contributions. Each district has a different deadline and cutoff date for how you do your awards. We are confident that we're going to have the money that we need to give away because of how much fundraising is being done and investments and things like that. So there is it's always been a soft cutoff date anyway of if we have this much amount of money, but we've always had that amount of money. So that confuses people when we start talking about dates. Our fiscal year ends on June 30th, but every district can do a different date for their individual competitions based on whenever their district conference is or when their district awards are. So we're going to ask that we don't talk about any deadlines and dates for fundraising. We want people to donate the money as they raise it and not hold on to it. And I think you heard someone talk about that earlier, that it's, I think it may have been Kevin that said it's surprising to clubs sometimes to hear that they are zero giving clubs and they know they've been collecting. So if we can get them all in the habit of making those donations on a regular basis, whether it's weekly or monthly or quarterly, then that will certainly continue to help that. But so we're technically not going to have a deadline that we're asking people to meet for donations.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for asking. Just a reminder, if you are out there doing club presentations, or if you're planning to have a booth at your district conference or invite a speaker, such as one of our board members or one of our researchers to your district conference, if you will give me those dates, I will be happy to put them on the CART calendar on the website. And that way it populates and shows all the different places that we are. Rod is very good about entering his on there, and some of the other folks are as well. But just as a reminder, if I know you guys are out there speaking, so if you'll let me know those clubs and those dates, I'll be happy to add them to the calendar, and also your district conference. And that way we can start planning now, because most of the conferences are going to begin in the spring and through the summer. And if you need a display or a tablecloth or a banner or any of those things, we can start planning now for what you may need based on those dates. There are 2 lunch a la cartes that are scheduled. The next one will be January the 15th, and then the one following that will be February the 26th. So please make sure you have those dates on your calendar as well. That is from noon to 1 p.m. Eastern, and those dates are also on the website calendar. You can click there, an immediate instant click, and come straight to the meeting, but you can also click there to register. You can also register in the DAC-DB calendar. Make sure you have selected multi-district events, and all of the CART activities will show up, and we have a lot of those right now. So we want to make sure that you get those on your calendar and get registered. If you will register in advance, you will get a notification reply email that confirms that you're registered. It will give you the Zoom link, and you'll get another email the day before with the reminder that also has the Zoom link. So it will be at the top of your email. And then finally, I wanted to mention that as we are coming up on the end of the calendar year, we are right on track with year-to-date giving of where we were last year. So that's a really positive thing, because folks are getting their contributions in. If you go and look at it right now, it may show that we're about $23,000 behind year-to-date. But I happen to know that there's a check in the mail for $20,000. So I'm going to say that we are right on track and right on target as to where we were this time last year, because that check is going to be deposited in the next few days. And several other folks have reached out to me that their year-end giving distributions from their retirement accounts are also en route to my home. And so those are all going to be going in as well. So that is the updates those are the updates that I have for you guys. And the calendar dates, I hope that you've written all those down.
Tiffany, our district newsletter is coming out next month, and they've asked me to put something in, and I want to. There isn't anything about a newsletter column, etc. If I come up with something on my own, or is there something that somebody has already created? I want to be consistent, but
Wonderful.
I just want to make sure that I'm putting the best foot forward for that district newsletter.
Absolutely. There are a couple of options. I do have some newsletter articles that I have written and submitted to districts that do not have district chairs. And so I'm happy to share those with you if you need them. You can also cut and paste anything from our website or from our e-news that goes out and use those as well. And speaking of the website, thank you for that reminder. We are undergoing the renovations to the website as we speak. We are working on that, and probably we'll be rolling that out sometime in January, hopefully early February at the latest. But there's a lot of work going into that. That will be a new website coming soon. Thank you guys so much for being here and for all that you do for CART. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. I know that we are in the season of Thanksgiving and holiday celebrations, and I wish nothing but happiness and joy for each and every one of you, because you make my job so much easier, and I would not be able to do this without each and every one of you. And it is a huge group effort. And all of our success is dependent upon and because of each and every one of you. So when we celebrate that we have raised $2 million last year, it is because each and every one of you are out there doing great work. And I'm so grateful. Thank you.